Aspen and Caitlin. And as far as intention goes, I got overwhelmed with my ideas. So I think there are lots of interpretations that you could take. And Tiffany was looking at it and was like, I see this. And I was like, oh, I can see how you could see that. So I'm not gonna like tell you what to think. That's all. Enjoy. While we're waiting, the soundscape I made myself, and hopefully it should be relatively recognizable, but with a variation.
for a week and a half of the workshop, and then she's going to Oklahoma City for a ballet intensive. So she's not going to be here today, but she did leave her piece for us to enjoy. It's called Circumlocution, and her concept was dealing with an issue where you're dealing with it in two different ways, and each of the dancers represents one of those different ways. So one of the dancers represents guilt and regret, and the other dancer represents letting it go.
talk about form. Can somebody talk about form?
Yeah. Why don't you say which forms that you enjoyed working with maybe and which ones you didn't?
Well, I enjoyed working with narrative form. It's where you tell a story. And I found that really fun, which apparently everyone else really hates it though. Someone who hates it. So, but my least favorite to work with was broken, because it was confusing to know what to put in. Broken is where you try to make it so that the audience doesn't know what you're doing next, and so that's hard.
You gravitated to narrative right away. Even when we were just doing exercises, she was telling stories from her first few sketches of choreography. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, retrograde, which is where you do a phrase and then you reverse it completely step by step and in a way or in the same position. And so that was Jensen's solo in line. And then another one was just fugue, it's called a fugue, which is just a canon or a roll up or however you want to call it throughout the whole dance. And that was just at the end of a few bars.
I like retrograde too because, I don't know, it just, if you know what to do, it's something to do, just doing it backwards. And I also like that, I didn't use this in my dance, but the ABA form, which is you start in one place and then you do your dance and then you end in the same exact place that you started. And I like that one, but I didn't use it because it didn't fit with the dance, but.
I am the biggest fan of theme and variation, and I think like everything I've ever done has been a theme and variation, but that's because it's like the best one. And that's where you have a motif or a movement, so like this was one of the motifs I used throughout it, and you just repeat it in different positions, in different places, in different layouts, and you just keep bringing it back.
I used, well, kind of in a way, I used the ABA form because I started with some of the same movement that I ended with, and so that was really nice for me because it just kind of tied it all back together. And I actually hated retrograde, but because I was the one doing it.
Hard.
Hard.
It's
right?
hard.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
It seems like a lot of your pieces, I know, but Marley's mom, this isn't a mean question. It seems like a lot of the pieces were about some like struggle or challenge or something you're working through. And I'm just wondering if you can talk, maybe as choreographers, if like doing the choreography helped you work through something, like what the process meant to you personally, seeing it danced out.
Okay. Well, I didn't come up with my intention until halfway through the dance. So as soon as I came up with it, I was kind of starting to see it in my dance and oh, that kind of connects there and that connects there. So it just again tied it all together for me, and so it wasn't really helping me work through anything in that way. It was just kind of an inspiration I had, I guess.
The duet with the two chairs, that's a dancer that's not here. Her duet was about a very specific situation in her life where she did something that she really regretted, and for a while she kept replaying that situation over and over again in her head, and she really had a hard time letting it go. And for her, doing that duet was very therapeutic because she felt like she could finally stop thinking about what she regretted in that situation. Aspen was a little bit obstacles. Do you want to talk about your
Hide the bench, you Okay, so I didn't really have intention until actually I was playing with ideas in my head, but I didn't know it until we were doing a run through, and you guys were backstage listening to it while I was sitting and practicing saying it. So, but of just came to me, and I mean, it showed me ways like to move on. I don't know.
Do you have any feedback about what you saw? In their dancing?
Was it Marlon's keys with the costume that's just super awesome?
The one I'm wearing.
Yes. That was me.
I was watching that. I was watching that, and I watched the pieces from the dancer's perspective since I'm not a choreographer, really. Like,
It's not true.
but I was thinking, if I would have known these things, it's hard to keep that. Well, whatever the rhythm was, to really keep it strong.
And they go in and out of it.
I was
Yeah, so sometimes it's
obsessed.
in their bodies and sometimes it's just in their head.
Okay. Did you want it to be steady though?
Yeah, so my, not like as a concept, but just as like something I'm thinking about, is like, is exploring limits and like intentional limits and unintentional limits that I want to break. And so like a lot of this was about me challenging limits and like, I can mess with you, I can touch the audience, I can like break the traditional stage form. But then like after Molly's improv class a few weeks ago, last week, whoops. We were talking about how like if you give yourself a set of rules, then there's like something tangible you have to stick to. And so I started with the rhythm, and I wanted it, like at first I was being like super strict about it, but then I think that I kind of liked how it kind of fell apart at times, and I thought that if I didn't tell them that they were allowed to do that, because I'm going to like totally let it fall apart. But I think that like having them trying to stick to the rhythm, but then allowing the rhythm to slip a little bit had its own thing.
Right from the beginning, Marley was giving herself a lot of limitations. She did it last year too, so any exercise that we were doing, she took the most challenging approach to everything. Sometimes she would go in the other room and set up the bars in crazy positions and work in a very confined space, and setting the limits with the rhythm, certainly. So from the get-go, she was challenging herself from day one, I would say. Giving them, but then it turned into this really great piece. So it's like the harder she made it on herself, the more clear her ideas.
Marley, how did you think the audience would respond to?
Well, I did, with the people that Aspen bongoed upon, I checked with them first because I didn't want to like, yes I did.
No, you didn't.
Okay, well, I talked to Marcel. And Pat, I'm sure you were fine. But so that nobody, like, I didn't want people to like feel violated, but at the same time I was kind of like interested in being like shocking and obscene, kind of. So much like Mari. But, so I think that I liked how uncomfortable they were. I mean, that sounds terrible.
But how did you think they would respond?
I mean, well, I knew that I was gonna, for Aspen hitting, I knew that I was gonna do that with somebody who, like, she knew. But then for coming out, like, Caitlin doesn't know my mom at all. And so, like, I think being under chairs, I just wanted it to, I was going for being kind of like off the wall and uncomfortable.
Yeah, Marley, I actually like didn't know that she was going to go